Why hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I am your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield, and today we're back with another RiseToWar Legacy. And I wanted to give you an overview and thoughts on what I think of 2.0. Okay, so now I've put in many hours at this point. I give you a very true view of it, what I think the new game updates are. 2.0 is an absurd amount of updates, and I both mean that bad and good. But there's a lot of stuff. I'm going to cover it in a very quick video right now and give you guys some of my thoughts. Things I like, things I dislike, what is really bad for free-to-play, what is really good for free-to-play, because it actually goes both ways, okay? So, let's go ahead and break into it right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like Lord of the Rings content and RiseToWar. I do a lot of other stuff, too, on the channel besides RiseToWar, but we do like RiseToWar as well. First thing you might have noticed, if you've seen my previous videos, is a graphical update. A big visual update. I am for the graphics update. The only little critique I would say is the trees look kind of bad. But besides that, everything else, the textures look really good. I'm really a fan of what they did. I like it a lot. I'm going to turn down the sound just slightly there. I like how things move. I like that food tiles have animals on them. Up to until you get to 130s, then it's farms. I love that. Okay, so that is a really nice update. I like the ups and downs. At first I wasn't sure, but I used to really like to play Civilizations a lot, right? Sid Meier's, if you guys have played that game, Sid Meier's Civilizations. I really like that. I think it looks really good. And yes, I did like the previous look as well, but I like that. Okay, now another visual thing with that, when it comes to that, is commanders. There's a really good thing and a really bad thing. Okay, the great thing is the commanders themselves look awesome. Some of them look a little old, like Theoden looks a little older than probably he should, but that's okay. He looks fantastic. The characters look really good. The armor, the textures on the commanders look really well done. I love that, okay? I like that. I see a little bit of unfinished things, like if you notice right here, there's a little bit of a dark barrier, if you see my mouse right there, around where that wasn't a thing before. So one thing that feels a little unfinished for me and I really dislike that I think they should remove is this weird background, okay? The previous backgrounds were so much better, that had depth, had buildings, had ground. I've noticed too one thing because of that, I think it's the shadow, is sometimes when they load in there's nothing there for a second and then it'll appear. It's not always the case, but it happens both on my really good phone and my emulator on the computer, so that's one thing right there. Again, I visually think they look great. I like how they put the colors better and their pictures over here on the left. Very nice, all right? So that's really good. But really the big one that irks me a little bit with visually is this background, okay? This background is terrible. And also one other thing that I think they should return is most people kept their animations, but I noticed characters that moved around in the background a lot got their animations changed. For example, for some reason, they decided with Gimli that he would just walk up and do that. That's all he does now. If you remember in the previous version, which I'm going to release a video of it because I recorded it before the update, so you can watch that later, the Gimli would do, like, fight a couple Uruk-hai, and then he, like, biffs the one Uruk-hai in the face, and he falls over dead, and he's like, ha! It's just a way cooler animation. I will say I do like how they made Gimli look a little bit more like the actor, John Rhys Davis, than the previous version of Gimli in the game, because they have the rights to do that, because they were under New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers, this game. So, that's pretty cool. I thought that was cool. Also, like, Dane looks more like the movie Hobbit version of Dane, right? Now it's just they slightly redid his face a little bit. He has the same animation, and I would say one improvement as a joke, okay, that me and the roar that Aragorn did before when he came up, do you see how it was a little delayed? He looks like Viggo Mortensen now, which I'm totally down for. Now, granted, I did like the previous look of how they drawn him too, but I like that he looks like Viggo Mortensen. Okay, I'm a big fan, right? He's an awesome actor. So that's cool. They got rid of the silly, like, yeah, me and my friends used to make a lot of fun of that. I do kind of miss that he doesn't have the army come behind him, so again, they really reduced animations, okay? So they still have animations, but they reduced them. One thing that's funny to me is that, you know who hasn't had a reduced animation is I don't think I have him as Evil Commander, the King of the Dead. The King of the Dead still has his army come up, and they look awesome, all right? So some of them, and of course, Gil-galad kept his amazing animations, so, like, there's some that kept the really good animations, but so overall, textures of the characters, updated how they look, big fan. The fact that they removed a lot of their awesome animations, not fan. And the background, not fan. Okay, so those are my thoughts on that. Again, this video, you know me, I'm a glass half full, positive kind of guy on my channel. If you like positivity, that's why we're here. And Lord of the Rings content. But I will point out things I don't like. Of course, I'm going to be honest to you guys, all right? I'm not being paid to say either of these things. This is my video. So that's what I think visually with graphics. Okay, those are my thoughts. And next thing, let's talk about a bigger subject here. Oh, we got to add one thing in here, guys. Graphically, one thing that I don't, besides my critique was the background, right? The commanders and the trees. Also, I don't know what's going on with this, but the actual tavern itself is, you can see graphically around the table and like the barrel back there. It is glitchy. And you can also see those glitches. And that's, by the way, it's on my phone too, I've noticed. It's not just on the emulator, so it's on both. And also, when you go into the Yule thing, and just like click on one of these characters, look at their hair. The hair is like freaking out. So, and it looks like their like faces are weird too. So, their clothes are fine though, but there's definitely some stuff going on there graphically that they're gonna have to work on. So anyway, keep going. Okay, a more important subject. How does it impact free to play? Okay, so we have to make something clear. I have to preface this, okay? This game was never designed to be a super free-to-play game, okay? This is not LOTR. LOTR is a wonderful, if you play Lord of the Rings Online, has a wonderful free-to-play system. I highly recommend anyone to try it because it's amazing. And there's no paywall things, it's awesome. This game was never designed like that in the first place, okay? It's a phone game. It's designed a certain way like 100 other phone games. It's better than most phone games I've played, okay, when it comes to the pay-to-win aspect, but it is a thing. It's always been a thing. So I've seen my friends have been showing me some Reddit posts, okay, of people being very upset with the update. I feel you, okay? If you're one of those people upset with the update, I totally feel you. I get it. I like a lot of stuff about the update, and there's some stuff I really don't like, which again is why we're doing this video. But you have to remember that this game was like that before the update. So a lot of people are acting like now you can completely not have free to play. And I want to break down right now what are the things that were totally ruined. I have an eyelash in my eye, excuse me. What are the things that were totally ruined by that? And what are the things that are actually better now for free to play than before? Because there are some, despite what everyone's saying on these Reddit posts. A lot of people are asking simple questions on Reddit, and then they're getting bombarded by comments that are like, "Oh, just quit the game, don't play the game, it's horrible after the update, blah, 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 blah." By the way, if you feel like that, you can leave a comment about that, but please give me details why you think that, okay? I don't want to just hear a comment like, "Yeah, it's horrible now." Okay, why? Give me a comment on that, okay? I want to hear your opinions. I like comments. I love that. But I would like to hear, what do you like about the update? What do you don't like about the update, all right? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know. Because I know I have quite a big chunk of my channel who watches my RiseToWar stuff. So, another thing that is big, let's talk about formations. Okay, so I have mixed feelings, right? Because I love the fact that my Gimli could do 400,000 damage by himself in the previous version, okay? But my Gimli's still very, very strong. He's not been new. I'm just comparing it to my one commander that I really like, right? He's still good. He's had a couple nerf things, okay? So particularly Gimli's ability to have his own base focus is pretty terrible. All right, so they nerfed it, which would have been nice if they would have put focus on his main weapon to kind of balance that so that he can actually get to his 50 focus, but I had to do other ways to get it. We'll have another video on that later. But the formations, I really like them. I think the formations give a good thing and a bad thing when it comes to free-to-play, okay? Here's my personal thoughts. These are my personal thoughts after playing, you know, probably almost 100 hours of the new 2.0 update over many, many weeks here now. When it comes to formations themselves fighting each other, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, now it's completely favoring whales and krakens," people who spend lots of money on the game, right? I don't think that's really the case, because what happened is the only time that really, really matters, I think, is if someone really could just literally fill up every single commander with full goals, all right? If you have someone who has one character, like let's say, use me for an example, right? I would consider myself a dolphin, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, a whale." When they see my Gimli, it looks like a whale, but that's all of my golds. My Gimli has everything. When it comes to the combo teams, all right, now, you can only do a certain amount of items in each character. So my Gimli looks really scary, right? He's got insane stuff. Of course, I put everything into him. But if you look at my Dane, he's fine, right? I've got golds on him, that's good. But he has barely any upgrades. A couple refines. Yes, I have a lot of refines on this one, but that kind of stuff. But then you look at my other characters, and they are very strong, right? This is my main army, so I have everything on them, right? Really full purple items. Very, very strong. What I'm finding is, because of the new way formations work, numbers are so split up that really they designed it where each group is only going to do 25% of the damage to an extent, right? And it kind of hems and haws depending on who you're putting your items in and who's the damage dealers in the group when it comes to commanders and units. So what happens is, I think it actually gives a lot more opportunities for people to draw, all right? Which means don't get completely wiped. You can actually have a chance to draw and fight. I'm finding when it comes to my smaller armies, they have a chance to actually hold off these massive armies. So if I could show you another one of my armies that isn't as crazily powerful, right? So let's look at my Gilgalad group here, okay, right? They have fine armor, but it's not amazing, all right? So I've got like basic purples with no strengthenings on them and only a couple refines. So see, it's real, a free-to-play person could easily do this, right? This setup. These armies still do like draws and they'll win things, right? Another thing when it comes to this is that for Wales is before, let's say they have 12 commanders, right? They could have 12 armies. Well, now you have to have 4 in each army. So they only have 3 armies, which kind of helps the PvP aspect for free-to-play players that are with a group, because if you have some friends that are really strong, which I do recommend finding a fellowship or a group, the game's played better that way. It's kind of how it's designed. You could still take tiles, because there's a limit to how many tiles you can take in the game on a single account. So if someone has a ton of money, if you've got 10 free-to-play players taking tiles around them where they can't clear them in time, and then you have a couple on your team who maybe be able to fight his armies, then you'll be set. Now, I definitely think, too, there's none of these commanders that do quite as much absurd damage output. So what happens is, if a bunch of free-to-play armies hit the same army, yes, they could still do lots of damage. Otherwise, that would be lame for the person who put either time or money into their army, right? But it doesn't really quite get as crazy. The difference is, to finish up what I'm saying here, okay? The difference is there's not that much of a difference from the previous version, okay? People are making it out to be that there's this absurd difference between 2.0 and the original version when it comes to free-to-play and people who spend money on the game. There's not. It's almost, I almost see no change, okay? Now, one thing that I do think is a little bit more pay-to-win that I would argue myself is that the fact that since you have to have 4 commanders in a group, you can't just, like, for example, my Gimli, all right? Before, Gimli was a single commander with a group. He had full golds. He might as well be a Kraken army, right? My one army. But now that I have to put him with 4 other people, I don't have these resources to put full golds and, like, massive strengthenings on 4 different commanders. No way. Like, I may be able to do a quarter of strengthenings and refines and a half on 1 other commander. But I'm not going to be able to do it on 4, right? Even as a more dolphin player or, up to whale, whatever you want to say, as someone who's been playing from the beginning. By the way, time spent in the game does matter, okay? It really does matter. Because, for example, my friend, I'm going to use him as an example, he's just joined the game. He's really excited. He's like, I'm going to put money into the game. I'm like, all right, you do whatever you want, right? And he's really getting into it, and he's playing and learning. But I still have far more gold items than him, and I'm pretty sure he's passed me up in how much I've spent on this game in the last 2 years, okay? Because again, I mildly spent, right? I'm like a moderate. I don't really have massive resources to put into this game, right? But that is very interesting to me, though, because I still have like double the gold items. That's because I've been consistently playing from the very beginning. I'm an original player. Not that that matters, all right? That's not important. Anyone can join in, doesn't matter, right? Everyone's opinions are valid too, no matter how long you've been playing. But my point is that I've been here from the very beginning, so I've had every season to collect items. Because you do collect stuff as free-to-play. So all those extra items I have, comparatively to what he spent, are because free-to-play. Because of me spending time in the game. I've earned those items, right? So one thing that will be harder for free-to-play is the fact that you still have to spend time to catch up. You'd probably have to spend a season or so, a season or 2, or maybe 3, to do, catch up to someone who's spent, a few $100s. You know what I'm saying? If not more. So that is something that can be a little hard. But again, I have whole videos on how to, if you're going to spend any money, I really recommend those daily bundle things that or the daily pass things. This, all right, just a little side note. These are how you spend money reasonably in the game, right? Like you just paying like a Netflix subscription, right? Okay, same thing. Netflix is probably more expensive. That's a joke. So anyway, yeah, that's one thing I think about that. If you're still here in the video, you're awesome. Thank you for listening. So those are big ones when it comes to that area of stuff. Items, it really comes down to what do I think about the item changes? Let's switch gears now real quick, okay? What do I think personally about the item changes and everything going on? I like the fact that there's now this new stat at the top for refining instead, and that there's these little like set things you could try to get, which help but don't like feel super impactful. So if I'm going to recommend to a free-to-play player, and I'll have some more detailed, smaller videos that people will find this information, because I don't like putting it just a little nugget of information in a big 20-minute video. It really is important to get these if you can. But early in the game, you're not going to be able to. Even someone like me, you can see I have, this is my whole set of gold items right here. That's all the gold items. And then I've got a couple down at the bottom. So it's not all of them. But it really is important to try to find the combos. So if you can see here, I actually went through and put like single purple items on commanders trying to set up combos that would be good for them for the future, just in case, right? So these are really cool, and these really do make a lot of difference. But early in the game, I would just advise you to focus on finding the right stats and right items for your commanders, right? If they are a focus-based commander, they're a damage-based commander, that battle axe is great for them, right? If you are a brand new player and you only have the blue items, right? I really would like, this is something I'd like fixed, and this has nothing to do with the update. I would like a better filter system in my items. I think that's kind of important. It's kind of what you've heard me guys say that like a year ago in this game. The blue items, they've added some nicer blue items, right? To make it easier for you and stuff to do things. And it's really cool. You can set up full things. Sharp Blade is a very efficient one to go for. This one, Recovery, I've noticed not been really great. I feel like it needs a buff, but maybe it's got some magical powers here and there. I don't know. So yeah, that's how that works. Another one I want to talk about that me and my friends just talked about. Okay, yesterday, before I made this video, we had an in-depth discussion about this. Me and Jethros and my other friend, well, he comes on the channel sometimes on the live streams, but I won't give away his real name. His Lude is his name. All right, so not spelled the other word, just the nickname. So anyway, basically, what we talked about is respect. And there's two things, okay? One thing that I like, one thing I don't like. One thing that I like about polling commanders now, it's easier to get purple commanders, okay? And there's one thing I don't like and one thing I do like. And here's what it is. Now with the update, when you pull commanders, depending on their respect level, okay? So I don't really have a whole lot of really low respect commanders here on this side. I'm gonna go the evil side. I don't play as much. For example, a Sharku, who's rank 2 versus this guy. If you are rank 0, you pulled the commander, that commander cannot get to level 30, okay? I mean, sorry, he can get to level 30, but he cannot level up to 40 or 50 until he's respect 1. And then when he's respect 1, he can only get to level 40, see, right? And then when he is respect 2, he can get to level 50. See how the number changes right there? So, this is something that is both, there's a reason for this. So for when it comes to blue commanders and purple commanders, they're easier to draw now. So you can draw them with respect, I think, of 1,000 respect with their emblem or letter, depending on good or evil side, right? It's 1,000 to get them onto the field where you can use them. And I'm glad they got rid of, this is a positive at 2.0. I'm glad they got rid of the fact that, oh, if you get them to 1,000 with gold, you can use them for, you know, tips. That was so random and unneeded. So anyway, they made it where instead of needing 3,000 for purple commanders, you can get them to 1,000. I mean, you can get them at 1,000, use them. But you still kind of have to get them to 3,000 respect to really fully use them. When it comes to, you have to be able to respect 1 to get level 40 and respect 2 to get level 50. I personally think they should remove that. That should not be a thing in the game with that second part. I think it's great that you can get the commanders faster with respect and be able to use them, but I think they should have just done that update, and they should not have made a cap on their level. Not really a fan of that personally. I don't think that's a very great one. And one thing that we also talked about, gold commanders, they're still 3,000 to get. So that means not only do you have to pick up the gold commander at 3,000, you also have to get them to rank 1 to be able to get to level 40, and rank 2 to get to level 50 in the game, with 50 is the max level every season for your commanders to get to, because their levels always reset. But like that cap meter goes away if their respect always stays there, right? If you know the game, you know this. Don't like that very much. I think that's a bad mechanic, personally. Now, let's talk about one other thing with level cap things, okay? They've done a new thing where you can only level past 40. Okay, so forget about the cap for a second. Let's say your commander's respect 2. He can get to level 50. You can only get to level 50 from 40 is if you do PvP. Okay, so you can't get XP from tiles, mock battles, any of those things. You mine mock battles now, right? Aren't they called now? I always forget because they changed the name. Mine sharpening. You can only, this can only get your commanders to level 40 now. And stuff. And then you have to go and do PvP. Then they can get XP again. Like if I show you here, this battle right here, you can see I actually got XP. My commanders are over level 40, right? This is a pretty insane battle. I was already weakened, by the way, if you noticed. But that's something that I don't like. That's a definite dislike for me. I think, personally, if the devs want to fix that, there's 2 ways to fix that particular problem with PvP leveling from 40 to 50. You make the XP easier to, like, faster. There's smaller margins you need to level up, all right, from 40 to 50, so you can level up faster, or you get more XP during fights, right? That's one way to fix it. Second way to fix it is make the cap 45 to 50 for PvP. So let us be able to mine sharpen and battle on tiles, get our XP up to level 45 commanders. Then we have to go to PvP to get from 45 to 50. Okay? My personal little thing there that I would like, and I think most people have agreed with me. I have a big fellowship who have been players like me from the very beginning that were in, and they all agreed with me the other day when I talked about it with them. So devs, that's pretty universal from what I've seen. My sampling of people being several hundred. So people don't really like the 40 cap thing for being able to mine sharpen, because it's really hard to find, especially if you're doing a game where it's really hard to get the PvP or there's just not a lot going on. It basically makes you just can't get to 50 then. It's like, that's not fun. So that's something I dislike. But one thing that I do like when it comes to, let's see, where was I going to show you guys? Let me go over here. Yeah, so that's a big one for me. I do like the fact that tiles, they lower tile strengths. But I mean, if they do change that, here's another thing that me and Jethros were talking about, is that you put level 300 tiles back to level like 45 armies, right? So right now they are 45, but put them back to level 50. So if you let people mock up to 45, then put the 300 tiles back to level 50 armies, right? Problem solved. But that's one thing. Again, I do like they've done some updates to the army system visually. I like the colors they put in here. I definitely like how they do this. I think there could be some more rotating of the visually, so you can kind of look at your armies and stuff would be kind of cool. But that's kind of cool. There's a couple commanders that have been a little disappointing with the update, right? For me, Ori was never a great commander, but now he is pretty terrible. Technically, Frodo and Sam, I gotta say, I take this back. They're pretty good now. They're much stronger than they were. In fact, I'm using them. They're very, very strong now. So, also a lot of people, this is another thing that I've noticed people have been saying, is they're like, why is my respect so much lower? I had respect 18, and now my commander's respect 11 or 10 or whatever. They crunch the numbers, okay? So it's not that they nerfed them. They, across the board, shrunk everything, right? So I think a lot of people don't really understand that. And I'm gonna try to make some videos on that for you guys later. If you want to know more about that, let me know. But basically respect got lowered, right? Across the board. So instead of the max rank being 25, they brought it down to 20, and then they did like some zenith level thing in between, which I have not even figured that out. I don't really know where that goes. But yeah, last thing that was a positive that I think is fantastic update is the ascending, okay? When you get to a certain level, so blue commanders, they get to 5, they can ascend to epic commanders, right? So blue commanders are called mighty commanders now, and purple commanders are called epic, and legendary are gold commanders. All of them are still at the same starting points, right? So like Dane was a commander that was tier 3, he was tier 3. Gimli was a purple epic commander, he still was an epic commander. Now, when I saw that got the update, my Gimli was automatically gold because they automatically ascended him because he was so high respect for me, so they did the math basically. But like Imrahil, I ascended him during the last few weeks. And then also Theoden, I can ascend him because he's level 10. So level 5, you can respect, you can make the mighty go to epic, and level 10, whatever they are, the epic commanders can go to legendary, okay? It is a little pricey to ascend from, the blue ones are not, blue to mighty or epic, but the ones other are a little more, but they do give cool bonuses, and I think it's kind of neat if you have a commander you really love, you're like, oh, but he's a blue tier commander, I can't really always use him. They can still be used. Now you can upgrade them and they can get really, really powerful, right? So my Gimli is far more powerful because of that, and so is my Imrahil, right? Increases their command and all these other stats, these new stats here. I love the new stats for the commanders. I think it's kind of cool. I really like the command stat and them having HP and actually fighting with your troops. So it gives some very unique creativity to the fighting. So that's really awesome. So that's one thing I really like when it comes to battles, personally, and things. I think that's really, really cool and done well. So that's a big chunk of what I was going to talk about today. If you guys want to know more, let me know, but in the comments. But I really am enjoying the game still, and I think it's fun, and I think there are some real reasons for some people to be upset, and there's some real reasons for some people to be very happy, right? I do feel like there's a little bit of disingenuousness with some comments that are kind of just like, they ruined the game entirely, or they didn't even try it. And one thing that really, I think, bothered me a little bit too is people didn't really work on the items. I spent like 50 hours redoing my items, and some people are like, oh, the items are so bad now. It's like, well, some of them felt worse comparatively, but when it comes to the new system and how the new numbers work, they're better, right? Like, for example, the Mirkwood bow. Yes, the stats are not as strong here, but the fact that it has 130 command, you got to look what command does, right? As a new stat and that kind of thing. So, yeah, so it did change things. Some things, there's some items changed that were fantastic, I thought. Some that were really bad. Like, there's one, I forget which one it is, but it was so weirdly changed. I think it was one of the purple helmets. It changed so drastically. It was just weird to me. I think it was the Arnor Cask, this one. It's a defense helmet now. Before, I think it had focus or something. I don't remember right off the top of my head right now. But some things were changed very cool, and some things were changed kind of weird. The Iron Bassinet, like, it turned into a totally defense item, and before it had commander attack. That kind of disappointed me, right? Some things were kind of weird, I think, but I see why they did it after I put the work into it. I understand why. So there's very obvious differences, right? So this is a very heavy defensive commander defense. This is a very heavy attack unit hat. This one's a very heavy attack damage commander, right? So this one's very heavily focused commander. They did very unique and special things between the helmets. This one is the opposite of that other one. It's heavy unit defense 16, right? You see the numbers there versus the hunter guys, which is the opposite. It's attack for units. So they definitely, they put some thought into that. There's still work that needs to be done. And again, personally, so my overall rating, to finish up the video, my overall rating right now of the new RiseToWar, visually and stuff, is like 80% positive for me personally. And again, I understand some are not going to be. And are there things that I'm like, oh, I really liked that before? Absolutely. There are absolutely things in the game that are like that I'm just a little bit. So there are definitely things like that that I was like, oh, I really would have, liked this to stay the same or this to change. And I can understand the sentiment that some people are like, well, just revert it. I also had that sentiment for the first 2 or 3 weeks. Once I started using the formation systems, I was like, well, this is kind of fun. One thing that I'm going to say right now that I hope they never do is add those cloud things where you have to move clouds. They didn't add that. I think that might be for new players, though, like just for starting out, like a tutorial thing. I think that's what those are for, but hopefully they never add that in the game because that would be bad. But I love the new visuals. I think it looks really pretty, the water and everything. It's far more fun to look at. So for you guys, for future videos, far more fun to look at. Also, commanders still look cool. I would have liked to be able to see all 4 commanders in a group. It just shows the commander-in-chief, the one leading. But yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So overall, very awesome. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So yeah, again, guys, let me just say real quick, if you do want to get some extra gems, you are someone that's going to spend money on the game, there's a link down there with and then you can get some, they give you extra gems and things. It does also help my channel a little bit, so feel free. Not a whole lot, but you know who really does do a lot? My Patreons. Thank you guys, I appreciate the support. And you guys for liking the video, leaving a comment, sharing, that kind of stuff. What are your things? I'd love to hear, you know, some detail. What do you like? What are the things you like? What are the things you don't like, right? I'm hoping that the devs will hear these things. Really, visually, for me, a big one is I really want the devs to bring back my original Gimli animations, and a couple other commanders that I really liked, and get rid of this stupid background. This like haze looks terrible. That's the one big one that I don't like visually. But the new lands, I'm a fan now. After a few days, I was like, this is really cool. I like that there's ups and downs in the land. You can also like zoom in, which I can't really do on my emulator very good, but on the phone you can like zoom in down, like sideways. It's pretty cool. I'll show you that in the phone sometime. But thank you for watching the whole video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy, my friends. Baruch Hazak Huzad menu. And yeah, overall, there's a lot of stuff I really like with the new one. And I think that when people make the comment that, oh, you know, it's more pay to win, I think it's about the same across the board when it comes to the goods and bads. And in fact, I think it does help free-to-play players when it comes to some combat with formation things. It's kind of hard to break that down. I might have to make a special video about that. But at the same time, though, there are going to be some aspects that is going to hurt that stuff, right? But, you know, that's how it goes. I think a lot of people, the reason they're saying just don't do it, don't play anymore, it's because they're just upset because they like the previous version of the game. Which, again, one thing personally is that I would have said, if the devs asked me, it's too much change at once. They should have implemented it a little slower and done things slowly. Done the formation system, right? Just this, just that. And then see how the reactions are, right? Instead of just one big plop, total redo. But it still has the same feel with how the game has the brisk feel and how battles are won. By the way, I do really like how this looks. These battle reports are way better. I didn't even go into that. So there's other stuff I could go into too, but the video is already 31 minutes. So if you're here the whole time, you're amazing. And we're going to end it there. But I will have more guides on all these new aspects too. I just wanted to give you my overview thoughts. So thanks for listening. See you in the next one. Stay happy. Baruch Hazad Kuzad Menya.